Hello, Sean.
I heard about you getting knocked off The Voice. My condolences.
It's, seemed to be fate or happenstance or just great goddamn luck that caused our paths to cross once again.
Sean?
Let us resort to our baser instincts and handle this review like civilized men. What did he say? Enough. Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome to our review of John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. I am once again joined by Jesus Christ. No, this isn't actually Jesus. This is my good friend Seanny Millar, who you may recall from our Avengers Endgame reviews. Say hi, Seanny Millar.
Hi, Seanny Millar. Hi, everybody.
And before we get stuck into this review, I would like to give a really big thank you, shout out to Billsy and the team from Radio Metro 105.7. If you're a local Gold Coaster and you like listening to music, like you're a musician. I mean, what radio station would you listen to if you had to listen to a radio station?
If I had to listen to only one radio station, it'd be Radio Metro 105.7.
Well, there you go. And that is from the heart. No, seriously, thank you so much for the guys for putting on this screening, inviting us to it, and rocking our freaking socks off. So John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum is the third chapter in the John Wick franchise of extremely awesome action movies. Once again, directed by Chad Stahelski and written by Derek Kolstad, who, and basically everyone has returned from the previous movies who hasn't been killed. This time around, Keanu Reeves' character, John Wick, is on the run because he's excommunicado from the big organization of assassins and has a $14 million bounty on him. So basically everybody is out to get this guy, and he's got to try and figure out a way not only to get away from everyone who's trying to kill him, but how to sort of make amends in his life and stay alive. So look, I for one am a massive fan of these John Wick movies. They came from out of nowhere. Keanu Reeves is a force to be reckoned with. This guy does nearly all his own stunt work. These films are renowned for incredible action sequences, brilliant cinematography. They're incredible movies. So I was really looking forward to this one. You not so much.
Yes, so where do I start? No, look, I think before I get into the negatives, which I do have a lot of, unfortunately, I will start off with the positives all the way back from Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is one of my favourite action movies of all time. And I think if it's not one of yours, you're watching the wrong movies. But look, and then expanding to that, just adding to what you said, the fighting, the choreograph, Keanu Reeves, just his presence, and the cinematography and just the gorgeous, just neon, gritty look of these movies are amazing. So that is all still there.
And the world building as well. The fact that they've created this entire universe of, where just everybody's an assassin and stuff, but it's plausible, it's believable, and they've got their own rules. They've got just the rules and everything. It was such a cool design for this whole environment.
And that's where we sort of look. We agree on a lot of things when we talk about movies, pretty much except for here. This is where we start drawing lines in the sand, because I sort of disagree. So with just commenting on the journey so far. So with 1, it was this mysterious, as you said, out of nowhere. Like, they didn't even advertise John Wick 1 as far as I know. I just picked it up and just accidentally watched it one day and I was blown away. And then but it holds its mystery, and there's, this lore of assassins and stuff that you're just not sure about. Whereas here, they have tried to build that world in number 2, which I wasn't a fan of much at all, unfortunately. So, and then obviously 3 picks up pretty much exactly where Chapter 2 left off. So I went into this movie, unlike yourself, very, very dubious on. I really just was. I was worried.
Yeah.
I was worried for the franchise. But in saying that, it does tidy up some things. It does improve on a lot of 2, and it is a fun ride. It is a fun ride.
Yeah, so look, for me, I like this movie a lot more than Sean did. as far as the positives go, it's like the creators of the first two have said, okay, people are really liking these movies, and for all these different reasons, let's just ramp things up. For me, I just thought the fight scenes, the choreography and everything was just taken to a whole new level. There was a brilliant fight. Like, the first fights in the film were extraordinary.
The opening fight scenes are incredible.
Yeah, particularly, and there's going to be no spoilers here, but one fight scene involving horses as a weapon, which
amazing
is kind of silly, but they make it work, and it's...
In that instance, they did, and I will interject with things as you take the lead, because this is some of my problems with, let's just focus on chapter 3 for now. So I don't like how they're adding, so from the serious tone from number 1, the serious mystery of it all, to now where they're just sort of cracking jokes and but with the horse scene in particular that you're saying works. That's where it works, but it is a really hard sort of tightrope to walk, and trying to add humor into an action movie like this, and they hit the mark a lot with, say, the horse scene, but then they missed the mark a lot, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And you're getting two different opinions here, which I think is really good, because, I liked the humor. I liked how it was used. I personally like how these movies have grown and expanded from the first one. I dig it. And this one, we've got a whole bunch of new characters. Like Halle Berry is in this film, as you've seen in the trailer. She's not in it as much as you might think. She was, kind of in it for, I don't know, maybe, half an hour or so?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
But who cares, because her dogs...
I wanted to get to the dogs as soon as possible.
I'm getting to the dogs right now. Let's because, my God, seriously... think of every movie dog you've ever loved in your life, in the history of films. None of them mean anything anymore, because these two badass dogs, they were incredible. The way they were used in these action scenes and fight scenes, they were scary. They were fierce. These were absolute killing machines. But the choreography of the dogs, jumping up walls and things, it was just extraordinary to watch. It was an absolute joy, and to me, is one of the things I will always remember the most about this film.
Absolutely. I think I said, I looked over at you when that scene was sort of completed, and I was just like, those dogs just stole the show. Nothing's going to get better than that in this movie, and I don't think it really did. As much as with all the positives that we're going to say about this movie, that you have a lot more of them than I do. But at the same time, I think we're going to agree that the dogs stole the show.
High five on the dogs. More positives for me. Mark Dacascos is in this film, which a lot of people will be like, "Who the hell is Mark Dacascos?" He's one of my most favorite movie martial artists of all time. He was in this '90s action movie called Drive, which I thought was his best work. The guy is phenomenal as far as his fight work and everything goes.
Some of his kicks in this movie, by the way, are just incredible to watch.
He's so precise and everything. And he was in this film, they kept doing a great job of hinting at this fight that was going to happen between him and John Wick all the way through, which I'll get to eventually. I loved him. Ian McShane as Winston, back
Ian
again.
McShane, he's one of my favourite actors of all time. I know him from Deadwood, and his presence on screen is always menacing. And
totally.
That, as as opposed to number 2, I think they used him a lot more in this movie than they did in number 2. I have a lot of problems with chapter 2, and that was one of them, is that they have such an amazing actor in Ian McShane that they didn't really utilise, whereas they did a lot more in chapter 3, so I did like that as well.
And there was one character in this who just went by the Adjudicator, played by Asia Kate Dillon, who I'd never seen before. Apparently she's been in Orange is the New Black, which I've never watched, so there you go. She was mesmerising. Not just her look, which was really interesting, but the way she played this character. She could have been like a real hard-edged, badass sort of a character, but...
And she was.
She kind of was, but she was also just this woman who was doing a job, she just had a purpose and she was just there to do it. And I really dug her character. She was amazing every time she was on screen.
Yeah. In I'm not quite sure how to articulate it, but every time she came on screen, just her there's nothing, I guess, like stand out as far as like the tone of her voice or like the way she looked or anything. But every time she was on screen, she was just such a powerful force, like going up against the wishes of all of these characters that we've come to care about, or care about in the actual film. And she's always there, either thwarting it or controlling things in a really dominant but sort of like soft way at the same time. I don't know. She was a really interesting character.
Yeah, totally. And another thing for me that I love, Tyler Bates was back doing the score for this movie. I love this guy's work. I love the stuff he's done on the past couple of Marilyn Manson albums. From memory, I think he also scored the Guardians of the Galaxy films. This guy's work is so great. I love his use of kind of drums and guitars and stuff, not sort of your typical strings and things for a movie score. He's got a very unique sort of style, and I really dug the score in this. You weren't so keen on it.
Again, another thing that we sort of disagree on, and look, I'm going to put it out there just in case there's comments below that say I'm butthurt about chapter 2 and 3 not being like chapter 1. I will put my hand up and tell you that I am proudly butthurt that they're not the same type of movies.
And that is absolutely fair enough, because everyone has their own opinions, so to leave him alone. me alone.
So I disagree, because I think even with there was soundtrack and score in the first movie that just sat behind it again mysteriously and just different. Like it had this modern but 80s sort of feel, whereas now to me this time around I was paying a lot more attention to the score, but it just didn't stand out for me. Like it's good, it's great, it fits it, it's nice, but it's not real nice. It's not like sugar on your Fruit Loops kind of sweet. It's just sweet. It's just Fruit Loops.
I disagree. Alright, so look, overall, this is a solid action film. It is a worthy sequel to these other ones. I don't know, is it it's not really a big spoiler if we reveal the fact that it's not the closing chapter, which I honestly, going into this, I thought it was going to be, but the end of this movie has definitely left it open for another one, which I don't know how I feel about. Like, I like the idea of this being a trilogy, like a contained trilogy, but it's going to keep going, and
I think the trilogy is for maybe a generation ago, where that was sort of how it's done. But now that TV and movie are sort of crossing over a little bit more, like there's longer movies because there's longer TV shows and things like that. I mean, like I like the fact that there's going to be a number 4, because it gives them another chance to sort of make up for what they did to me back in chapter 2. Yes, I'm that butthurt. But the way that they've sort of set up the next movie, I think it does up the stakes a little bit more. So I also went into this movie thinking that it was going to be, like the closing of a story arc, so the trilogy, basically. I was pleasantly surprised to know that it's not going to be. And John Wick is his body count is not over yet in cinema history.
That being said, as well, I remember at the end of chapter 2, like I know you didn't like the end of chapter 2. And,
no, I hated it.
I loved it. For me, I walked out of the theater after chapter 2 thinking to myself, my God, I cannot wait to see what happens next. It was such a cliffhanger. Yeah, you shut up. This time around, I'm kind of like, take it or leave it with number 4. Like, I'm not now like, oh my God, I can't wait to see number 4.
Because you've been desensitized by... You don't know how desensitized you were about the end of chapter 2.
It wasn't as big a cliffhanger, in my opinion.
That's true. Look, I mean, for me, I think this is a little bit of a bigger cliffhanger, because there's more of a direction on what's going to happen. So we won't spoil that part of it, because that is you don't want to know that until you see it. But going back to chapter 2, I mean, one thing I have a problem with these new chapters is that it's this secret society of assassins that every person knows about, and like at the end of chapter 2 they send out the hit for John Wick, and it's like there's homeless people with mobile phones that are like, oh yeah, cool, hit on John Wick.
But they're not really homeless people.
Well then
they're in disguise.
But if they're all disguised as homeless people, then there's no homeless people and they're all assassins, and it's still dumb. I'm sorry.
Speaking of negatives, I do have a few with this movie. Only a couple, not as many as he does.
It's true.
I'll get mine out of the way, and then I'll just go off and do something while you sit there and talk for half an hour. No. So there was, the fight scene that we've seen in the trailer with Keanu and Halle Berry and the 2 freaking awesome dogs. It was good. Don't get me wrong. Like, the choreography was there, everything was there, but there were no stakes. Like, nothing's happening to these characters, which I guess is a mild spoiler, but like, nothing happens to them, and they go through, and they're bulletproof. And yeah, even though Keanu's character like gets, you know, shot and stabbed and everything, like he just seems a little bit too invincible in this film. And not only that, the biggest gripe I had with this film was the third act. It really let this movie down in a huge way. I mean, the first fight scenes, I was literally on the edge of my seat. There was one fight scene, I think it was the one with the horses, where like I had to stop eating my popcorn and just observe what was going on. I would just, you know, everything, the like I said, the choreography, the planning of each shot, the long takes as well. There were so many fight scenes that had these great long takes, were incredible. But yeah, then it gets to the third act and you're kind of like, okay, here we go. But it just went too long. There was an entire huge fight with these two Asian guys that could have been cut out of the film. Like, it wasn't necessary. It added a little humor, but I didn't, it just, yeah, it weighed it down. So by the time we finally get to...
They should have cut that scene, because sometimes you just got to cut a motherfucker.
If you've seen the movie, you'll understand that reference. Yeah, so by the time we get to the inevitable Reeves versus Dacascos fight, which the whole movie I was looking forward to, I was kind of like, all right, let's do this. You know, just, yeah, the third act really dragged for me. Yeah,
me too. But of course I'm going to agree with that because I've got all the negs. So just to get into nitty-gritties of things, even though they are positives, the choreography, the long takes, admirable. Really still good to watch, and it's a fun ride, except for... I was already picking apart this movie before the first scene came on, and I continued to the whole time because I'm a butthurt fan from John Wick 1. I sort of saw the flaws in those long takes and the short staggers and things like that, and I know that's like really, really nitty-gritty picking, okay. But at the same time, you know, John Wick 1 I've seen 1 billion times and it's flawless, and you know, I know they probably had their whole career to write 1 and then they've got to pump out 2 and 3 and whatnot, so that sort of explains that, but still, I mean, this is world class. It's still world class in a lot of ways, but I can definitely see the holes and the cracks start to show as well. Alright, so another gripe that I have in all 3 John Wick movies so far, even on the poster, why is there no, you know, they've started to add cheesy jokes in it. Why is no one like lit the wick? Why is there no wick jokes, like candle jokes and stuff like that? You know, if you're going to go down the cheesy route, where's the wick jokes?
So, look, you know, overall, yeah, I as much as I did, there was so much to like in this film. I mean, everything I've mentioned, but the cinematography, the locations, every frame of this film is jaw-droppingly gorgeous to look at. But yeah, it was really seriously let down for me by that third act. I mean, obviously I'm going to own it. Like, yeah, it's a worthy addition to the John Wick saga, but I'm going to give John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum an 8 out of 10.
Okay, so my scoring comes from it's a
dark place,
a dark, dank, butthurt place.
Your cold, dead heart.
So I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I wanted to score this a 5, and that's because there's so much 50-50 in this movie for me. There's so much good, but in my opinion, there's so much bad. So for every gorgeous scene, there's a skip in a fight scene that sort of lets it down. You know?
For every German Shepherd.
Yeah, there's a 2 Asian dudes fighting John Wick that didn't need to happen. I would have given this a 5 out of 10. However, I'm giving it a 6, and I'm bumping it up 1 point because of those 2 German Shepherds stole the show. Go and see it just for those 2 dogs.
I agree. Alright, so there are our very differing thoughts on John Wick 3. You can take from it what you will. I actually like that it's not just me going, yeah, this movie's awesome, except it's not completely awesome, but yeah, at least, you know, yeah, you got a little bit of a mixed bag here, so that's pretty good. Thank you very much for joining me on this review. Stay tuned, by the way, because this guy's going to be joining me for more reviews, because I really like having someone to, you know, to riff with, and yeah, it's good.
We have fun. We hope you have sort of fun watching us, so yeah.
Sort of fun. More. Don't have fun, just have sort of fun. And if you have seen John Wick Chapter 3, please let us know what you thought in the comments. Who did you agree with here? Was it, like, awesome but let down a bit for you, or was it like really let down but a little bit awesome for you? So let us know what you thought of John Wick Chapter 3. Leave us some comments either here or on Facebook or Twitter. All the social media links are in the description below, because we like to talk about movies and we would love to talk about movies with you. Catch you next time.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.